Hey, bottom of the bouncers. What can I call y'all? My no, bottoms is not good. My bouncers, it makes you sound like security men. Maybe we'll do it. Welcome to Bottom of the Bounce again. Again, I am prefacing this by I am telling you my hard stuff, my bottom of the bounce as I bounce up. I'm in no way competing. I know others have it way harder. I know others have it way easier. I know we all switch those things all the time. Somebody's hard is somebody else's good. Acknowledging that. Also acknowledged it last time. Last time I talked to you about where I am right now, right the bottom right now. Um, Mine includes a husband with end stage kidney disease, awaiting a second transplant, not able to work, no disability. I need to pay the bills, but I'm restarting my business an hour away from where people know me, but it is where I live. Um, I'm restarting that, and I have to pay the bills because he can't work. And so I got a second job an hour away, and it's a lot. Um, we had to file bankruptcy. We That's my hard. That is my bottom of the bounce. So we talked about it last time. Not going to go over it all this time, just to remind you. So then I told you we just kind of had a lemony snicket situation, a series of unfortunate events. I'm going to end up like owing them money by saying that. But great book. It was just a series of unfortunate things. So now I'm going to go through them. You know where the bottom is? I'm going to kind of tell you how we got here. And then we're going to go through and we'll talk about different aspects, not on this one, but over the course of time. This one, I'm going to tell you how we got here. So, first of all, I have said my hard is not your hard is not my hard, and my year 2020, I'm going to Barbara Walters it again, 2020 was glorious. It was a beautiful year. We made it through 2020 without getting sick, but we had 5 foster kids under the age of 7, and we had the best freaking time ever. We just had fun. Um, we had money in the bank. My husband was healthy, happy, working. The kids are here. Pressure's off. I don't have to work about getting people to come into the studio because nobody was going into the studio. So it was just creativity and playing outside and homeschooling these little foster kids and just like the angels are singing through 2020 for us. Um, I was having Zoom happy hours with people, which was great because I had these kids and I wouldn't have been going to them anyways. My networking was easy. It was beautiful. Also, photography business. I was doing great. I was doing great. I had had a studio kind of up in this area. I had moved it to Plano, an hour away, which is where I'm working now. Um, it was doing great. I mean, the COVID year happened and nobody did great in business that year, but I didn't do horribly. I still did well enough that I decided to sign a lease on a new studio. And I remember telling my husband when I did it that this was the greatest place. It was huge. It was like 2,500 square feet. It was quirky. It faced the back of a building, not the front of a building. It was in a shopping center. There was a ballet school. There was an art place. There was like a bounce house type place, if you will. It was Nerf, but all the kids. There was a martial arts studio. There was my people and art, and there was just. I remember telling my husband, if I don't make it here, I can't make it anywhere. Um, and yes, mm-hmm, knowing where I'm at now, you know why I remember that so well. I'm sure he does too. Thankfully, he has not thrown it in my face. Good man. Um, so I signed the lease. It's cheap because it's been storage for 15 years for the ballet studio. It's hideous. It needs to be cleaned. It needs a whole. It was gross. When I'm telling you guys it was gross, it was painted seafoam green, the whole thing. And I'm so excited about this place. I'm still doing all my networking Zooms and everything from it because I'm so excited about this studio. So I just look like I had stomach virus for a year on every Zoom call I did. Yeah. So I did that. I did that. And we took down the drop ceiling and we realized every time it rained, it leaked. and we realized it leaked bad. Like entire walls were pouring down rain. I couldn't hang my work. I couldn't paint the walls. We never were able to put flooring in. We like, oh, it was bad. Like when I say it was bad, it was really bad. I couldn't work. My biggest thing in my studio was Santa. My work had been on Shark Tank. Santa was huge. And I couldn't do it in 2020, obviously. And now I can't do it in 2021 because I can't market it. I can't paint the walls. It can't be leaking in there if kids are in there. So I miss a second year. Mm. I also, this is important in later years, quit paying rent. I thought if I withheld a month of rent, they would fix the roof. Not how it happened. 2022 starts. So that's like the biggest thing in 2021. We move into the Slumlord studio. Um, it was about maybe April or May before I started withholding rent. Um, yep, November still can't do Santa. I literally wrote this down because I knew I'd forget something. So now we have January of 2022. That's how 2021 went. It was rough. It was a lot of trying to make this place work for a year or even sort of work. Also, mind you, I'm going to be putting, make sure you follow this page on Instagram because when I talk about something, I'll put pictures backing it up. I'll put my receipts on Instagram. So I'll show you what that studio looked like at the time. Because if you were in it, you probably did not see the horrificness. Horrificness? Is that a word? You didn't see how bad it was. It was ugly. Okay, so 2022, still leaking. Um, we did paint it by then. We could paint the studios, but it's still leaking. I couldn't put pictures on all the walls still. Um, but we're going to start fresh. We're going to start over. It is a new year. It is painted. Now we're going to rule the world. Um, we're trying, right? We go all through 2022. Um, we hit about March, I think it was, and I'm at the studio trying to rule the world, and my husband calls. And Rich says, yeah, I just went to the doctor for a checkup, and they said I need to go straight to the emergency room. My numbers are off. Remember, he had previously had a transplant, and he says, but if you're busy, we don't have to go because I feel fine. It's weird. Okay, I wasn't that busy. We went home. I mean, I went home immediately. We went to the emergency room immediately. When I tell you that they ambulanced him to downtown that night and that man was in the hospital for over a month and I didn't think he was going to come out of the hospital, that was real. And that was when his transplanted kidney had died and he had to start dialysis again. He's awaiting another transplant again. He literally was fine until the minute he wasn't. It was the craziest thing. So, on my start fresh year, it's bumpier than anticipated, but we're trying it, right? Like now the husband's sick. Now he's in the hospital all the time. We're trying to make this work in 2022. Um, so January we're working it, and March, I think it was March or April. His kidney dies. Um, November we do Santa with a kiddie pool. I had to buy a kiddie pool because there was no guarantees that it wasn't going to be leaking from the center of the thing, and so I was going to have a kiddie pool that caught the leaking so the kids didn't get in the water or slip on the water. Not the experience that I'm used to giving my people, to say the least. So that happens. Then that is in November that Santa comes. Then in December, there's birds flying outside the window. In December, Christmas Eve. What could go wrong, right? We come home from my mom's house and the entire downstairs is flooded. A pipe burst behind the refrigerator. We weren't home. We got home at midnight. Um, I actually made a reel about this. I'll have to share it in because it's really funny. We get home at midnight. people fixing the street out front had put sod over where you turn the water off. So at 12:30 in our house with no street lights, I'm outside in the freezing cold barefoot with my phone as a flashlight while my husband's throwing squares of sod so we can turn off the water so we can go in and sweep the 3 to 4 inches of water out of the bottom of the house. That led to everything in the downstairs having to be replaced. Everything, walls, doors, furniture, cabinets. We had some really good experiences, but we had a contractor that got paid in full, didn't finish the job, and left us high and dry. So there are still bits that I have to finish, we have to finish in the house because he's a weasel and he didn't finish it. Um, just so you know. Um, we'll talk about that later too. However, now we have a flooded house, right? So we start off 2023 with a moldy flooded house, trying to figure out the insurance, trying to deal with that. But my husband is still sick and he's still trying to, regulate and get back on his feet and do all of his stuff. And then on February 3rd, which is the day before my birthday, my social media got hacked. And I mean, taken over, where they wanted all of my ad account money. It went straight into the bank account, it went to business page, it went through Instagram, it went through Facebook, it went everywhere. And I got my personal page back within 3 months. It took over a year and a half to get my business one back, and I still fight with different things on it. But social media hack, mind you, I'm still trying to build my business in my flooded studio, right? That has just and now the husband's sick, and now the social media. So I can't run an ad. When social media gets hacked, you can't market like that anymore. You don't have it. When I did make a second page, when you're trying to run a photography ad and somebody sees that you have 2.5 followers, they think you're not legit. You started yesterday. They ain't gonna hire you. Huge battle, huge battle. So now I have an icky studio, and now I have an icky house, and now I can't do anything on social media. Lemony Snicket, did I tell you? So yeah, that's 2022, 23 social media. That was also when the contractor left us high and dry. We had lived with my mom, I forget, 6 months or something. We moved into my mom's house, which was actually super fun. Except for I think we drove her nuts. We brought our 2 cats and guinea pig. She's not used to that. But she was super, super great. And thankfully, we could stay there, which was close to the studio, a little further from the hospital. He was in the hospital a few times while we were there, making it happen. We're still just busting through it, right? We were trying all the things. Still, we're going to make this work. And now we're in 2023, and nothing is better yet, right? Like, nothing's better. It's just systematically getting worse. So we moved back into our house. So 2024, you can guess how that goes. We're fighting for our lives at this point. Like, Rich can't work anymore. He's always in the hospital. I have not restarted the studio business effectively because I'm still fighting the landlords. I am still trying to pay for this freaking studio that has been ultimately killing my business. It is all the things, right? So 2024 in September, I talked to one of my good friends and I'm like, this is where I'm struggling. And she says, Robin, get out of that studio. The studio's killing you. Leave the freaking studio. Like, it's not doing you any favors. Get out. And I'm like, I can't just bounce, right? Like, they're gonna sue me or something. I mean, they still haven't fixed the leak. It's 2024 and it still rains in the studio, but I don't know anything about, commercial real estate and stuff. So fortunately, I call a real estate attorney and talk to her. I also meet with the studio manager, meet with in person. It's not written down. However, we meet and I say, let me out. Let me out a year early. You guys didn't fix anything. I have been struggling this whole entire time. Life is landing on my head now. Just let me out a year early. And she says, absolutely not. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to figure it out. I'll pay all of the bills. And while taking care of him, driving him back and forth to the hospital, he's doing dialysis. Like, I'll just figure it out. So she says in that meeting, why don't you pay weekly instead of monthly? It'll be smaller chunks. It'll be a little easier for you. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I decide in my extra time that I'll drive Uber. And what I make for Uber, I'll just like take to the studio. And then I'll just be paying for the studio. I have one more year. It'll be fine. Everything will be fine. Um, And so in October, I drive to Dallas and give them a check because, mind you, to pay online to that studio was a $60 fee every time. So it was going to be an extra 240 bucks a month if I paid online. So I'm driving to Dallas and I'm giving them a check, and I'm driving Uber and I'm doing photo sessions and I'm driving my husband to the hospital, and I am like dealing with the house. I'm still dealing with insurance. I am still like, I am doing everything I can do and driving Uber and taking them money. So I do it, and then I do it the next week, and I do it the next week. And the next week, Rich is in the hospital. So I don't get the chance to drive to Dallas. But it's okay because like 2 days later, it's going to be the 1st of November. So I'll just do it that way, right? Like they've basically been paid for October. So, I'll just do it by the 1st. It's fine. And on November 1st is when my husband, no, actually, it was November 2nd, was when my husband got out of the hospital. And so we went by the studio to get something. And that's when I realized on November 1st, they had changed the locks on the studio door because I didn't pay that week. They locked everything I had in my studio November 1st. If you know a photographer in your life, ask them what the busiest month season in photography is. It would be November 1st. Um, Fortunately, I had not scheduled Santa because I just didn't trust the studio. I didn't trust any of it. Um, I had done it the year before and the numbers were so low because of kiddie pool year and 2 years off. I just forget it, right? Like, never mind. Thankfully, I had done that. So I had to cancel every session that was booked. Um, they kept everything locked until February 1st or it was the end of January of this year, 2025. 3 months. I'm the only one that can work. Everything's absolutely locked up. Can't work. Um, Fortunately, the attorney I had called, she's trying to negotiate with them. They're saying no. They want to sue me for the rent in 2021. I'm going to have to countersue them for lost earnings, but now I'm having to pay an attorney while starting over a business in a new town after I've gone 3 months through busy season without doing anything. That is how we got to the bottom of the bounce. Between the studio, between health issues, between the house flooding, between the studio flooding, between all of it, that's where the bankruptcy came in because I'm fighting $1 billion in medical bills, and we've got to pay for our house, like, and medical bills and attorneys and lawsuits. And yeah, it was the craziest ride from 2021 in January till now. Like, yes, my biggest regret is that stupid studio, but it was beautiful. It was beautiful. It was quirky and it was fun. And I met some amazing people and I did some amazing photo sessions there. I can tell you, thankfully, that was there. So when somebody wanted to have their was it FFA, their senior photos, but they were in FFA and they drove here from Lubbock with their two 340-pound pigs. Let me tell you, couldn't have done that in the living room. So I was really thankful for that big, huge studio. One of my friends photographed snakes, and he did an entire workshop where we got to photograph snakes. I think we did two of those. I could be wrong, but I think there were two of those. Um, we did we did amazing workshops, and we did amazing classes, and we made some incredible art. Um, we really like there are parts of it as life goes where you're really, really grateful for parts of it. And then you think, man, if I had to do that again, I wouldn't have done that. That studio would have been a wouldn't have done that. But since I did, there are parts I'm really, really grateful for. Um, there are parts of it I miss. I miss having a huge space where I could just play. Um, I mean, my husband too, like I miss him just being healthy and doing his own thing. And he misses that more than I miss that. Um, we miss, we love our house. I mean, it's great. However, we have doors that are put on backwards that matter. We have baseboards that still aren't on. We have some caulking that I have to do. He didn't finish any of that. We just have some things we have to finish that life has lifed and we just haven't gotten to. However, he's a contractor I would never recommend, and I would smear his name except for when he left me, he dropped his business and now he's a teacher somewhere. So he could be teaching your kid. But it also means there's nothing I can do about what he did to me. He just took the money and ran. Um, so yeah, there's that. But that is the slide down into where we are right now. So we kind of went through all of the issues, right? Um, the little things that you don't realize, like disability, we've been fighting for that for 2 years. We've been fighting for it. The last word we got from the lady who's supposed to be helping us get that, I said, I haven't heard from you. I don't know what's going on. I think he's just applying again. We're just gonna do it. And applying again. It's been 2.5 years. And she said, I'm glad you are. They've lost his application. Hmm. They lost it. They just lost it. Hmm. So when I'm not at this second job for 12 hours a day, when you include drive time, um, that's one of the fights that we're having to do. Or he's having to do that when he feels well enough, which he hasn't for a few days. So that happens with kidney disease. It's a little bit okay and then not, okay and then not. Um, I have to be okay every day because I got to fill in those gaps. And fortunately, thankfully, that's a good thing. I'm healthy, happy, all good. Um, so that's going to be this whole little podcast segment. I just needed to explain where we were at and then explain how we got here. This is how we got here from my husband producing live shows and having the greatest business and being so busy and traveling and booked all the time to now, and me ruling the my little corner of the world until now. um it's been a ride. But I have so many things to talk about, the little nuances of all of those little things, right? Like you just kind of got the Cliff's Notes. Now is when it gets really interesting to start talking about how life happens when you are going through those things. And I think I'm going to hit on some stuff that you guys have probably seen too in your own lives when you've gone through your own things, because I also realize I am not the only person who goes through things. um I wish I was, because my goodness, how happy would everybody be if that was the case? Not that I want to be the only one, but you know what I mean. So I'm going to let you guys go. Now you have the timeline, and next week we're going to kind of deep dive into a little portion of it, a little segment of it. And I'm so glad you are here. Please tell your friends. Bottom of the Bounce. You can also on Instagram, actually Facebook too. There's Bottom of the Bounce on Instagram, and there's Bottom of the Bounce on Facebook. So follow me, because when I talk about these different things, I'm going to put pictures on the Bottom of the Bounce on Instagram. So, because I have pictures of all of these things. So I'm going to show them to you. I'll also put them on Facebook. Um, so definitely follow on social media. That way, if you're like, what did it look like when the studio was flooding? Friend, I'll show you. I'll show you what it looked like. Oh, how sick did he get? I'll show you. They're not graphic or anything. I'll show you. Um, what did your house look like? I can still show you. Um, all of those things. So if there's something that you want to see, or there's something you're curious about, or there's something you have a question about, or there's something you have advice on, if you're the president of the Social Security Administration or the disability place, let's talk. We need it. Um, however, um, other than that, I'm gonna let you guys go for the week. Have the greatest week. Make somebody smile today. That's your homework. Like each day, just make somebody smile, because we're all going through it. We all feel like we're at the bottom of our bounce. Regardless of where we are, even if you were at the top of it, it feels good to smile. So make somebody smile. That's your homework today, and I'm going to go do that too. Mwah! Still not edited, so you're going to see me turn it off.